And one of the reasons I was very excited to have Achim with us on our World Changes in Tech show today was he had a LinkedIn post where he talked about his initiative Engineers Saving the World, or in German, Ingenieure Retten die Erde. And that made me very curious about what does the future of made in Germany look like? And how can we call the engineers to the front line? And are things changing in the space, because Germany is known for its very excellent engineering. And so now I would like to welcome Achim Kempker, the Chair of Production Engineering of E-Mobility Components, shortcut PEM, from the RWTH Aachen University. And he's also the Director of Engineers Saving the World. So Achim, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So let us start with an introduction of yourself and all the great things you have obviously accomplished, and then let us talk about maybe the status quo of German engineering.
Okay. So how many time I have for this? I make it short. So you have already mentioned I'm responsible for the chair of electromobility at Aachen University. Over the last around about 10 years, I was responsible for street scooter, this a postal vehicle. So we have developed it starting in 2009, and there was the first idea of return on engineering. So a lot of questions how we can bring innovation to the road. So, and we have figured out and say, okay, we can do it in half of the time and with only 10% of the normal investment for such an innovation. And that was the birthday of street scooter. So we produced several thousand vehicles up to now. And during this time, there are a lot of questions. So is it useful to only replace an engine from a combustion engine to an electric engine? So finally we say, okay, no. So you have to do more than to change the kind of engine. And that was, in my head, the questions, okay, what is the focus for us engineers? So, and that was the first step, I think, over and over the last years. And finally, last year, we have decided to found this NGO, Engineers Save the Earth. And we have two ideas. One idea is to discuss what is a good philosophy for engineers. So we say sustainability, but open to discuss. But not only to discuss is our profession. On the other hand, we say, okay, we have to start projects to show that we are able to solve most of our problems. So not all of our problems, but we think that there are a lot of possibilities, and not only talk, but do. So, and the name is Engineers Do It because we are engineers. So I don't want to blame others, the politicians or others. They have to do something, and they have to do something before I can do something. So that was the starting point from this NGO. And during the last 5-6 years, we have founded around about 12 other startups, and all of them helps us to bring it in this big puzzle, all puzzle parts. To make urban logistic more efficient. So, for example, Use, it's a company bring flats on vehicles, and you have changeable advertisement on it. Or Velocity, it's a rental system, B2B rental system for pedelecs, and some others also for the fuel cell topic. So a lot of different tasks, but the focus is still the same, to have sustainable solutions and to bring them in a bigger context.
Okay, and but you mentioned what was interesting, the philosophy, like changing the idea and the philosophy about engineering. Does that mean back then you felt that the traditional field of combustion engines, I mean, the field that dominates German engineering is the automotive industry. So do you feel that this philosophy has actually changed and there's an acceleration in engineers going the right path?
Yeah, it's have started to change, but not yet ready. So over the past decades, the focus was whatever we can do, we do as an engineer. So give me a task and I try to solve it. So well, I think it's not enough. So some good results, some bad results. It's not everything bad what we have done over the last 80 years. But I think we can do more, and we have focus on the topic that we can save the earth, yeah, for the next generations. I have 4 children, for example, and they are starting to ask me, what have you done over the last 10 years? And what will you do in the next 10 years that I will have a good life when I'm 18 or 20 or 25? So, and I think that there's a lot of to-dos considering this philosophy on the one hand, and the other, the German illness, I think it's for every idea, I have the 100 reason why it can't work. So when you have an idea, can you tell very exactly, no, it won't work. So, and the other illness is then we start discussions, and when we not solve everything for the next 10 years, we don't start. So I think both of these topics we have to solve. And the last one is this topic of failure. So when you are failure for this startup or everything else here in Germany, you are a loser and a fool, and it's not good. It's very bad. But you know, when you have 10 startups, 1 will win, 2 are so la la, and the other 7 will fail. So it's a normal process. So we have changed our mind and bring up this philosophy in our daily work.
It seems to me that maybe, and I might be false, but a lot of engineers have a natural characteristic embedded in them that they want to lower the risk in all the things they probably do. And what you just mentioned with you know, fail culture, taking risks, what would have to, I mean, do startups represent the breeding ground where engineers can break themselves free from maybe these more traditional structures, or what would have to happen so we have more impact with the engineers that are in Germany at the time or want to come to Germany?
Yeah. So one topic there is that over the last decades we have a lot of success, especially in this automotive industry. And normally, when you look at history, that is difficult when you have big changes. So when you are very successful, you say, it was successful, and I still going this way because it was successful. Now we have a lot of changes, and in these phases, startups are very important. So what we need for startups is a lot of money, and this topic of risk. And when you look at this investment culture in Germany, it's not enough. So we have to provide more money to this topic. And on the other hand, to integrate, for example, how I can run a business at the university for engineers, for example. They have to learn, you have to learn to integrate in teams and see also the topic to sell something. So for a lot of engineers, it's very difficult to sell something. So because they tell you everything, but not what is your advantage after that. Huh? So.
Do you find that the young engineers that you're also teaching right now have this perception that they can easily start in a startup, or do they really need to have more mentoring in terms of it's okay to join a startup in your first years, or?
Yeah, most of them are very open for the topic of sustainability, of course. So I think the next generation will do this. But on the other hand, a lot of students want safety, to be secure, and it should be a job for the next years. So I'm not sure whether they want to take risks. So I think we have to discuss with them and show them that it's also is good to take certain risks.
Okay, well, because I know a few engineers, and it seems to me that they're so busy right now, especially in times of Corona. Many of some people have gone into Kurzarbeit, but a lot of engineers I know that are in the R&D field seem to haven't stopped at all with their research at this point. Would you see Corona now opening chances? Like, is there even the possibility of engineers changing the world as we speak?
So I think Corona is a very difficult situation because Corona is one of the topics that show us that we can't solve everything. So my thesis in the beginning of our talk was that we can solve a lot of problems with technology. So in this phase, we are shown that we can't solve this problem or not solve this problem in a certain time. So we don't know when it will end. And I think that is a very difficult situation that we don't know, will it end in 1 month, 2, 3, 6, 12? And I think that is not a good situation for to have a perspective, especially for startups. It's not an easy time. You are right that we are not lazy and we are not doing nothing during this time. We work a lot, and also from me, I think I work more than before. But the efficiency and the outcome is much lower because it's a lot of uncertainty during this time.
So I just sorry, I lost my train of thought. So even looking at, let's say, the supply chain that Germany needs, like foreign supply chains, in order for engineering output to be efficient. When we look at Made in Germany, do you think a lot of people are looking at their own business models and thinking about bringing more of the supply chain into the country? Or would that also solve some problems in order to push this idea of, engineering in the country?
Yes, I think so. This is an ongoing discussion that for certain products like masks or something like that, we have to produce here, or for the supply chain to make it secure that we can go on with our production, to replace things, products and components again in Germany or especially in Europe. But I think we have to be very careful because now we say, okay, globalization is bad. I don't think so. So we have a lot of advantages from this globalization, a lot of wealth and good cultural input from other countries. So I think we should figure out solutions how we can cooperate more with others, not less. On the other hand, you're right, we have to figure out some critical products, for example, for the medicine industry. We should be able to produce it in each country. But I think it's not to make it 0 or 1. It's not a digital thinking, and it's a solution. It's not to say, okay, we will do everything in Germany or in Europe again. I think it's not a good solution. It would be not a good solution.
Okay, well, I caught my train of thought again, sorry, because I was stuck on the call to action that you actually had for engineers when it comes to Corona. And for example, Bosch, they decided that they were going to create a testing kit within 6 weeks that could test for corona within 2.5 hours rather than 2 days. When you did that call to action, we were talking about engineers are very busy right now within their own companies, probably because everyone's still betting on R&D to make money of the future, because that's where their sales funnel comes from. Was it different? Did you find a lot of reaction to your call of action for?
Yes, for example, we have already ready a reusable mask, a community mask. That was one result, and we have already with our partners start the production, so you can reuse it 100 times. So in the background for this engineers save the earth, our idea was not to throw away every day 2 or 3 of these masks, to reuse it. A lot of other topics are very difficult because there is a difference between working with humans, so put them on a machine, or driving a machine, of course.
Sure.
So we are very careful in this topic, and step by step we figure out what are the things we can really do to save lives. So there are a lot of discussions in the background. One result is this mask, and I think over the next weeks we have some other results. So a lot of discussion, but we have in this topic we have to be very careful.
Sure. Okay.
Risk anyone.
So what I've heard out now is we need more startups, and the engineers need to change their own philosophy, or the culture shift needs to be there, that they become more open to maybe a startup and innovation culture. As well as, so one, there needs money. We can look at supply chain changes, at least in the healthcare sector. Now, your experience and deep knowledge is in the automotive industry or e-mobility industry, and we've had some questions where you see the future of e-mobility. Maybe what are the big winners that might be coming out of e-mobility and German engineering in that?
Mm-hmm. So I mentioned it already. So the existing industry was very successful in the past, and that is something they could be proud of. But now we have to be faster in the change. Otherwise, the production sites will not be here in Europe or Germany. Look at the battery production. So there are a lot of projects considering the topic to produce batteries in Europe, but 80% of them are not European companies. So 10 years ago, we have had the discussions whether electric mobility will come or not. Now we have the discussion, okay, it's too late to start the production of batteries or to invest in this. In the same discussion, we have again for fuel cells, H2 mobility. So I have in mind 10 years ago, now we have the same discussion. Okay, will it come or should we invest money? So we will discuss it again several years until we start this. So there will be a lot of winners when a company is fast and invest now in the new technologies.
And now that Tesla said they were going to come to Brandenburg with a Gigafactory, do you think that hasn't pushed it into a topic that maybe one of a German firm needs to either join or compete? Or
yeah, Tesla is a successful example because we are not fast enough. So when we would be fast, then Tesla wouldn't exist. It's my
right.
opinion.
Right.
So and now we see, okay, it's working, and it's totally different in Germany. It wouldn't be possible to have a Tesla because over the several years they have no profit. A lot of discussions when I offer a business plan here to some bigger companies. Oh, okay, after 2 years you have no profit? No, I don't want to invest in this shop. So you can discuss it with a established technology. Therefore, it's obvious that you have profit after 1 or 2 or 3 years latest. But when you invest in a new technology, you have to invest over several years because it's very complex and you have to change a lot of, I'm again by my puzzle, you have put a lot of puzzle pieces together and you need millions of euros until you are in the condition to have profit.
And do you see, does it seem very promising that we're going to have plenty of VCs coming together, or the AEF maybe wanting to invest, especially now with Corona, or generally there's this economic downturn? Does the future look bright, or would you rather say bleak at this moment?
No, we have a lot of chances. So a lot of competence here in Europe and Germany, a lot of strong companies, not only from the product side, but also from the machinery industry. So we have a lot of chances. The only thing, we have to invest in the new business. Yeah, it's also automation. It's the same topic, or IoT. Yeah, so if we have to invest in this new ones, a lot of money, that is, and to take risk, and then we have very good chances, but we have to do it and not only to discuss.
Okay, and you talked about Street Scooter, and you have 10 various startups that you're also guiding, and these are puzzle pieces to kind of the e-mobility. So in the next 5 years, what do you hope will come out of Made in Germany? What are the new things that'll come out in terms of innovation?
Oh, so it's a bright field. So I think you have one of all. It's not a question whether electric mobility will come. So electric mobility will come. So the only question is what is the percentage? You have battery electric vehicles. You will have fuel cell electric vehicles, and you will have vehicles, bigger ones, and airplanes and ships. You will use synthetic fuels. So the only question is how many percentage in each sector. So that will be the future, and when we don't want to change to this, then the others will do. So that is one. A second task is to make the logistic much more efficient. So we have figured out a program. With this program, we can make this urban logistic much more efficient by 50%. The reasons for that are digitalization, sharing, have not only big vehicles, but also three-wheelers and two-wheelers. For example, our duck train, so in the front, it's a three-wheeler or a person or a two-wheeler, and then the small ducks, pallets with own axis will follow. The duck is a kind of autonomous driving, but because of the driver in the front, it's not autonomous driving, so it's allowed in Germany. We will start this in June. So you will have a lot of different solutions, and when we make it, that it go together, so the processes are better, then we have a very good future considering this logistic, a very efficient time there, and a good carbon footprint.
Okay, and it seems that the university, or Aachen University, is a great breeding ground for engineers, and your program, PEM, has done quite well for anyone that wants to have this similar setup so they can create an innovative hotspot. What would you say are the defining characteristics that made your program so successful?
So we have built up this ecosystem. So first, of course, you mentioned it. You need a lot of different people, not only the same people, but different people. And then we have built up the so-called ramp-up factory. So you need places where you can use different machinery. So the normal problem for startups is when they want to produce some prototypes or pre-series, then they need machines. So when they have invest on themselves, it's very difficult, very costly. So one approach is to make this prototyping and pre-series very cheap in comparison to the normal way. And that is the topic of 10% of the normal way. So we have implemented this this laboratory and this ramp-up factory. By the way, not only here in Aachen, but also in Sacramento in the United States. After they have figured out that we do this here, not other Germans came to us and asked for that, but the Americans come and say, okay, that is very good to produce new startups, and please implement the same in Sacramento. So, so we have started this last year to do so. So this ramp-up factory, then the people, then the methods, this return on engineering, to start with something, then to make failures and start again, restart. This mindset is very important. So we've also implemented scrums and other methods, and then money. So you have to have a network with different investors. They have trust in what you are doing here, and I think that are the most important things.
Okay, and for we had a question based on your initiative, Engineers Saving the World. At what level can you join? Could you join as still a student, or?
Yes, yes, of course. So it's even the fact that you mustn't to be an engineer. So 40% of the people are joining this NGO are not engineers. So it doesn't matter. I think important is that you want to change something, to do something, and you like the philosophy we are promoting here. And one of our projects, for example, is our building itself. So the location where we are located. And the first step, we have figured out what is the carbon footprint, what is mobility to come in and go out, what is the food we need over the day. And now we have a lot of different projects with one person or bigger ones who step by step go to this process to use less resources. Mm-hmm. One project, for example, is to have some bees at this location and make not only grassland, but a lot of flowers there. Another is to implement a big battery. There's some wind power and solar park nearby. And the next step is to have all the energy from these, both from wind and from sun. And we can even mention it by its name. I think it's the Humanotop project. Is that correct? Yes, it's one example for that. Yeah. Okay, and I'm not familiar with the European Green Deal, but and I'm not sure you're familiar with it. Someone was asking whether engineers should participate in that. I'm not familiar with it. I don't know if you are, but Harald had posed this question. What was the question? What is the European Green Deal? Are you familiar? Green Deal. Yeah, the European Green Deal, and how engineers should respond or participate in the initiative. I think, my opinion, and that is the reason why I founded this NGO, is that it's very important that we have to make up our mind ourselves in the first step, and then bring this with a lot of ideas and proven results back to other organizations. So that was the reason why we have done our own way, because other big organizations, I think it's very, very difficult for me. I want to do something fast, and when I have to integrate myself in a big organization, it's too much time for me. So, but that's my personal view of this.
Okay, so Harald, I would suggest that you join the Engineers Saving the World, and maybe you can open up that discussion with them. And I would like to maybe round this all up by asking you if you had to argue for, you know, made in Germany and German engineering in order to get the funds that you need in order to activate, you know, more startups to grow. What would be your conclusion as to why German engineering is still the best engineering? Hello, Achim?
Yeah.
Could you hear that?
Yeah. Can you repeat it? No, there was some seconds. No.
There was no tone. So I was saying, in order to maybe conclude everything together, if you would have to make an argument to a big, you know, maybe investor, if you'd have to say, why is German engineering and German engineers, why are they the best? And that's why we need them to push all these great startups because the changes here. How would you argue that, and how would you sum it up?
Okay. So I'm be very careful to say that we are the best engineers. We have a lot of very good engineers here in Germany, but I think it's an international topic, and it's not only a German topic. It's very important that engineers all over the world, and I have, for example, a lot of contacts with Chinese engineers over the last 10, 15 years. In the beginning, a lot of people say, okay, they're only copying things. I was more than 30 times there for several weeks each time. And when I come back, I changed my mind. So there are worldwide a lot of good engineers, and we should work together. And I think it's very important to have engineers, not only German engineers. And why? When we say we want to focus on this sustainable topic, we are able to solve, I repeat it again, most of the problems we have. So, and that is the chance we have only together with engineers. So there are other problems, and others could change this. But considering the problems we have with our climate and so on, we are able to do this. And so please invest in engineers worldwide.
Yes, and surely also with the Energiewende, we also might be doing something right?
Yeah.
Okay, Achim, well, I would like to thank you for our session. And for anyone that joined and wants to network after, I will be sending out a feedback form, as well as invite to a private group where any of you guys can exchange ideas with each other. And of course, make sure you go to Achim's webpage where you can learn more about engineers saving the world and one of his many projects. So Achim, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.